Hey guys, Matty here from DCLblogger.com. Another analysis video for Gods Unchained, a weekly one. Last week was the first, this one's going to be the second, and I'm going to be going through a few different things. First, we're going to visit some epic charts that I just made. They're kind of noobishly looking, but they're pretty cool. They're going to go through card value growth for some of the highest growth cards or some of the most expensive cards in each category. You got legendary, epics, and rares. I'll go through that a little bit later. Promo card growth and chests, and an ROI chart at the end. We're also going to be going through the Gods Unchained volume. How are we doing in terms of volume, and how is that volume changing day by day? A really cool resource is the non-fungible Gods Unchained section. You can go down here and see the daily volume. We'll go through that a little bit later too. We're also going to be going through just some buying and selling going on and what's trending in terms of that. There's a really cool Discord channel that I'm part of that is more of a bot channel, but it pings me every time a sale is made for Gods Unchained, or every time a particular card is listed in a category. I'll put the link in the description. But basically, if I go to GU sold 1 ETH plus, it shows me all the sales of 1 ETH and above, and you can just see lately there's just been a lot of gold legendary buying. Someone's come in and buying a lot of gold legendary. That's what I've noticed over the last few days. There's obviously the diamond legendaries that are been going for about 9 to 10 ETH as of late, and even diamond epics are actually going for about 5 to 6. You can see this one just sold 5.8. This was a couple of days ago. The mythic 235 Ethereum sold yesterday. And anyway, I'll be going through this a little bit later. But first, let's go through some of the charts that I made. So basically, let's go through some of the charts that I've made. So basically what I have done is I have listed the top 5 or 6 legendary epics and rares, and I've gone through what their launch price was, what the price was after a week from launch, or about 7 to 10 days after launch, and then a week after that. So this is yesterday's date. I was actually supposed to make this video yesterday, but it just took me too long to get this data. But what you can see here is how the legendaries have moved. So you can see from launch price to 3rd December, or about a week or so later, about a week to 10 days later, you can see a lot of these grew in value pretty quickly. And that was when a lot of people were going pretty crazy about Gods Unchained. But then since a week from now, a week back from now, there's been pretty stagnant growth, in the sense that most cards have either kept their value, dropped a little bit, increased a little bit. Some of the epics have actually moved. So you can see Demilich, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's gone from 0.05 to 0.09. What else has moved? Ashen Drake has actually gone down from 0.08 to 0.06. That's interesting to note. I'm going to be doing this every week. I'll be putting in a new chart. But one really interesting thing is also the ROI chart. So the ROI for all of this. So let's go through the charting, which is a lot more easier on the eye, and it gives you more of an indication as to what's happening. So blue is the launch price bar. Red is about a week after. So you can see blue to red, a lot of them have gone up. Pretty much every single card has at least doubled in value, right? So if you got in at a good price at launch and you were kind of scouting out the good cards and buying them, then you would have done really well. Now it's kind of stagnated a little bit, in the sense that it's only been 2 to 3 weeks since launch. So either people have bought way too much and are kind of selling them slowly back on the marketplace, or the demand has kind of slowed down, and that we can go through a little bit later once we check out the OpenSea volume. But the promo cards have gone nuts. So there is, as you guys know, there's a few promo cards. There's First Phoenix, Blessed Chimera, and Lights Bidding. There's not that much data on Lights Bidding and First Phoenix, just because there's not that many in circulation. I think there's about 60 Lights Bidding and maybe a few hundred First Phoenix, but there's about 600 Blessed Chimera. So there's been a lot more of these sales. And I've found a lot of progress being made, a lot of up movement for Blessed Chimera. We've gone from, so this one right here, No, not that one. This one. We've gone from 0.8 Ethereum to 1.8 Ethereum sometime last week. I remember I actually bought about 7 or 9 of these at 0.8 to 1 Ethereum because I just started seeing a lot of people buying them and they were just disappearing under 1 Ethereum, right? And then suddenly, and I just listed one for fun for 1.8 Ethereum just to see if I can quickly double my money, and it suddenly sold. And that same day, that guy came in and bought pretty much every Chimera under 2 Ethereum. So suddenly within a day, it went from 1.2 Ethereum to 2 plus. And I think that's because the Blessed Chimera is just a cheaper card at the moment, and it's a lot less supply than any other card apart from the couple of other promos. 600 is very, very little supply, and that's why the price is just moving way too quickly. 10th December yesterday, I think we had quite a few sales for around 3 Ethereum. Now it's the cheapest one you can get is about 3.1 Ethereum. So I'm pretty confident Blessed Chimera is going to go up till 5 Ethereum, 10 Ethereum even, and maybe even beyond that, in a few months, 6 months. But these are going to get really, really hard to catch. I mean, if you want to get the promo cards, now is probably your best chance to get them. Lights bidding, that's just going to be completely out of most people's reach. A lot of them sold for about 15 Ethereum, but the cheapest one currently is about 17 Ethereum. Rare chests and legendary chests are, again, I find these to be a really good buy for me personally, just because long term, a lot of people like to keep unopened packs just in the real life. That's how it works. Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a lot of unopened packs cards, right? And they go for a lot more than, I guess, open cards, just because they have a chance of opening up and you could get a really rare card, or also just for the fact of it's cool to have an unopened pack. So in that sense, I feel like rare chests and legendary chests are going to have that value. And also, if you're buying legendaries, there's about 26 to choose from, right? There's so many cards to choose from in Gods Unchained as a whole. So if you want to buy some and then kind of wait on them and sell them later, it's a bit of a hit and miss in the sense that maybe the card that you get won't go up in value, right? But if you get a legendary chest, you're going to benefit from all of these or either of these going up in value. If Jason itself goes up to, say, 5 Ethereum, right? Hypothetically, if it goes up to 5 Ethereum and all the others stay the exact same price, then legendary chests are going to go up in value, in my opinion, because people are going to think that you can get up to a Jason in any of these legendary chests, and one chest is about 6 packs. So the chances are very, very slim to get a specific card, but it's going to be rare that only Jason or only a couple of cards are going to go up to that much value. But what I'm saying is, even if the top 3 or 4 move further away from the rest, it's going to increase the legendary chests no matter what. So I feel like rare and legendary chests are a good buy long term. It's just a matter of how cheap can you get them. I was able to pick them up around 1 Ethereum. I think I might go back in and pick some more up at about 1.3, 1.4 Ethereum. But let's have a look in terms of what they're trading at the moment. 1.4 for legendary chests and 0.19 for Genesis rare chests. One thing I like to keep an eye on is supply. And supply is a really big indicator to me how quickly these things are going to move. For example, rare chests, there's only 190 listed at the moment, right? So if someone comes in and buys about 30 or 40, it's going to go to about 160. So it's going to move the supply to about 20%, and it's just going to be easier to move it up. But Genesis legendary chests are actually going to move up way quicker. Can you imagine if someone comes in and buys about 20 of them, suddenly 20 or 30 of them, suddenly you've moved almost 50% of the supply, right? So if you look at how much 20 or 30 purchases is going to get you to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, it's almost going to go up to 2 Ethereum, almost. In fact, it's going to cross 2 Ethereum. So I think I also kind of like to keep a look at this to see how often people are buying. So there was 6 purchases on December 11th, December 9th. I like to see consistency. As long as there's consistent purchasing being made, then that's a good indicator. If there's for example, if there's lights bidding, right? For that card, it's good because it's highly valuable in the sense that one's worth 15 Ethereum, but how often are people buying these cards? there's been none, or at least Token Trove is telling me there's been none in the last 4 or 5 days. There's not much data on letting us know where this card is going, but it looks like there's only one actually very fairly priced. There's probably because there's only 60 lights bidding, even if you buy 3 or 4, it just suddenly spikes up the price. But that's something that's hard for me to justify buying, just because the liquidity isn't there. If I do want to sell it for a good price, I don't know if someone's going to buy it, right? Blessed Chimera, again, it's moving real quick. You can see there's definitely some consistent purchasing being made. This is just in the last 4 or 5 days. It's grown from 2 Ethereum to 3 pretty consistently. It's sitting at 3.1, and not much supply for Blessed Chimera as well. There's literally only 18 listed here, and obviously there's like 10 in the last 10 are astronomically priced. 5 Ethereum plus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last 5 are pretty highly priced. It's only the first 10 or so that are realistic. So these will disappear pretty quick, in my opinion. If someone's buying a few every day, give it a couple more weeks. Suddenly we're going to be seeing 4 to 5 Ethereum Chimeras. But the question is, when is it going to stop or slow down? As you saw, a lot of the legendaries did slow down. So you got to keep an eye on that. Another thing I wanted to go through is volume. Okay, so nonfungible.com is a really good tool to check out volume for NFTs in general. They actually have quite a lot of different NFTs that they track. They give you daily sales, and you can kind of filter it out to show you the exact sales that you want. Big resource for me for Decentraland. So I have been following them since the start. But they also have this really cool history chart on volume. So if you look at Gods Unchained, you can see that the first day we've done about 60,000 USD in sales. This is back on 23rd November. I think it's a combination of both of these. And then we started to slow down a little bit, but we've been fairly consistent for the first week. But now it's been up and down a few days. I think these are inclusive of the Mythic sales. So that's going to account to a big portion of that. But in general, there has been a bit of a slowdown, which is completely expected. That's just how it works. Because, once there's a launch for the marketplaces, this happened to Decentraland and many other marketplaces. As soon as there's a launch, there's a ton of volume. But when that slows down and people kind of blow out all their Ethereum, then it's really up to new investors to buy into or new assets within the project. And the project has to grow through utility and actually building a good experience, because there is hype. There's hype when a marketplace completely launches. So you can see the 7-day change has been down 20%. Really not an issue at all. For me, the most important thing is consistency. The moment we start seeing up and down graphs where we're having $50,000 days, $0 days, $20 days, that's when there's a problem. But if we have consistent volume, that's the best indicator for me with an NFT. So let's look at the ROI chart. We can kind of see which assets, if you had purchased, whether it be a card, a promo card, or a chest, would have given you the most ROI. There's 3 outliers here: Blessed Chimera, a real man, which I don't know if you would have been profitable, because if you're buying them at 0.001 Ethereum, which is what they were listed on launch, you would have probably been paying more with gas. So the ROI might be a bit lower just because the gas price is a bit more. But I think a real man has a lot of potential, just because obviously it's a meme card, but also because it can go up in value real quick. So, people can buy this at 0.1 Ethereum, I'm pretty sure, eventually, right? There's so many available at 0.004, or was it 0.04? No, I think it's 0.004 Ethereum. They're literally 60 cents each at the moment. I think there's a few hundred available. Yeah, my issue is there's just so much supply. There's almost 1,000 listed at the moment, which is kind of weird, because I would have thought a lot more. There wouldn't be that much supply because everyone's kind of holding on to theirs, but it seems like people are willing to sell them. If you look at the chart, it had its peak at about 0.0008, but then I think over the last couple of days, there's been someone that's just come in and suddenly smashed the marketplace and has put literally about 200 of them for sale at about 0.004, right? So that's what's got the prices down. But literally, as soon as those are being bought up, then we're suddenly back on the rise to beyond that. So I think we're kind of bottoming out at the moment, unless there's more people that want to sell these cards, this particular card. So we're going back to our chart. Demonic Offering has been going up quite a lot. I think sometimes you're going to get lucky. Sometimes you can use a website like cardsunchained.com, which is really, really cool. Love this site. Love the simplicity of it. It gives me the exact data that I want. I always just see what are the biggest movers in the last one day, just to see if there is some cards that I think might make it, because people are still realizing, especially players that haven't been using a lot of the Genesis cards in their decks, now they're realizing over the last couple of weeks which ones are good, right? So if you start to see some momentum, let's filter this so it's Genesis only. So this is just legendary, but let's go to all of them. You can see there's the first rank number 1 is still Pyramid Warden. In fact, I think that's moved up a couple of positions. But any of these that are starting to move real quick that are not common, although common might be good to buy, it just costs way too much in gas fees. But hey, it might be a good purchase if you can justify, you just have to take into account the gas fees for them. But cards like, for example, Underbrush Boar, I've been playing the game as well, so just to understand how it all works and the dynamics behind this. But there's been not many big movers as of late. I like to look for epic and above. So normally what I do is I'd go to epic and above. This filtering is so good. Epic and above, and for example, Golden Harpy, That Which Aches. We've seen this one go up in value as well as of late. So in the last day, it's had 28 more hits. I don't know if that means it's been played in 28 more decks or what exactly. Or it's been played 28 times more. 28 more times. So we can see the last 3 days to see if there's a bigger trend overall. 80 Skites of the Harvest. So this is something I would definitely look at, just to see that it's kind of going up in volume of it being used. It's higher than Ashen Drake, which is already sitting at 0.06 Ethereum. In fact, let's take a look at its Sites of the Harvest. Once we start getting in the 2,000 plus, I feel like a lot of these really popular cards are eventually going to be worth about 3 to 4 times what they are at the moment, just because people are going to buy them to be used in game, right? The utility of them is going to increase. That's just inevitable. They're not going to release more of these cards into play. The question is, are they going to be releasing more cards that are better than these cards? That's the question. But yeah, let's quickly, before this is going to be the last thing I do in the video, let's quickly look at Sites of the Harvest. Skites of the Harvest. Oh wait, we can see the price right here, 0.05. That's a little bit higher than Demonic Offering. It's not a bad price. Probably gone up a little bit actually. But I have been keeping my eyes on Ashen Drake, just because there was a time when it was 0.08. Now it's sitting at 0.0641. But anyway, guys, that's it. I don't want to get into this too much, but some really good data coming out over the last couple of weeks. More sales, so we can at least get a bit more understanding as to where the marketplace is heading. It would be awesome if someone could come and build an economic graph website where it just tells me the economics of Gods Unchained, the highest movers for the last 10 days. I'll be using that in my video. Right now, I'm literally just manually plotting in what I find at those 1 week snapshot marks. So that's it, guys. If you can, just follow me on Twitter. I blog a lot about Decentraland and Gods Unchained. Anything with a good amount of value being transacted on the marketplace where you can make money and understand the marketplace is really good. So $35,000 was spent on the last Mythic. I like to see these kind of numbers. I like to see them often. It shows that there's potential, not so much buying and holding forever. It's more understanding the marketplace, knowing when to buy, knowing when to sell. There was another land that sold in Decentraland for about 13,000 USD, close to the Genesis Plaza. Decentraland has always been a beast when it comes to land valuations, just because hundreds of dollars, in fact tens of thousands of dollars, get transacted, and the frequency is pretty high. Whereas Gods Unchained is more, a couple of dollars here, Maybe some cards go for a couple $100, but even the top legendary doesn't even go for over $150, right? Not even more than 1 Ethereum. It's more buying them in bulk and understanding as a whole where each card or the strategy is going. But that's it, guys. NFT space is looking awesome. Competition is going on for Decentraland, and obviously Gods Unchained is going to be releasing more news soon. So excited, very excited to see what happens. That's it for this analysis. If you think I could have done anything better, let me know and I will do that. If there's any tools you have that might help, please let me know. I'll see you guys in the next analysis video.